For the murder of the wounded, looting, cannibalism, you are hereby sentenced to death by hanging. Or torment.
Don't meddle. Take the reward and let's go.
Help me!
Knew you witches wouldn't scorn imperial gold. Tough hunt.
Tougher than yours, that's certain. Evil is evil. Lesser, greater, middling, makes no difference.
Can't fit me.
Bring her down. Do it my way. You like that, you bitch? Get the hammer. Kick her teeth in.
The degree is arbitrary, the definition's blurred. If I'm to choose between one evil and another, I'd rather not choose at all.
Just make it quick, Geralt.
What the?
Close your eyes.
Hit him. What are you doing?
Killing monsters.
Okay, so this is should be a fairly quick session. This is basically kind of Selma's, what would you call it, origin story? Not origin story exactly, but the prelude to what's going to happen to her to come. What I have here is a map of Sidaris. And where you guys are, you're at Mermaid Point, which is a small town on the tip of Brimmervoord, which is a duchy of Sidaris, on the west tip of the continent there. So I think that's fairly clear. Alright. Any questions about that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Not yet. Is it mostly humans or?
Yeah, mostly.
there
There would probably be some non-humans there, but not in great supply this far away from Brokalin and where a lot of the actual non-humans are. So I'd say mostly human.
Okay, got it.
Well, I'm going to change my name for the session.
This is episode 6, Rocky Shores. Senna looked at the harbor of Mermaid's Point, a small fishing village in Brimmervoord, which had recently become her home. Under the instruction of Dr. Kar Vizja, she had learned the ways of alchemy and medicine. She was bright and spirited, but the world was cruel and unforgiving. Kar had been away several days, traveling at the behest of Count Androrin, which had given Senna some idle time. She studies, of course, but she had found herself freer than usual, at least from the doctor. Here today she briefly looked over the waves crashing into the rocks and docks, but her real destination was a small forge where she was intent on learning a new craft. And sometime later in that forge, I will give it over to you, Emma.
Ding, 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 ding. A rhythmic striking against again and again and again. Behind it all, a woman with dark hair sweat beading down her neck with her hair tied up in a bun behind her head. A hard strike, always followed by 2 smaller strikes, just as her father taught her. Selna was hammering a white-hot blade, sparks hitting her thick apron met steel. Thoughts of her home in Dravograd in Lyria and Rivia crossed her mind as she struck away. This place was so different. A cool breeze regularly rushed over Mermaid Point from the ocean, bringing with it the smell of salt water and the thick feeling of humidity in the air. It was nice, it was calm, but it was not her home. It had been a little over 2 years since she first started her trek on the road heading west, since she first ran away from all the hard decisions that waited for her there. She would go back eventually, but not yet. She was not ready yet. After some time, she dropped the sword into a nearby barrel of water to cool it, and called it a day shortly after. She needed to go back soon and check on Karl Visehe's patients. She had only known the doctor for a few months, but for whatever reason he was comfortable enough to leave her to care for those he was treating, so that he could venture off elsewhere to do as he needed. It frustrated Selna, to be honest, and worried her. She wasn't a doctor. She was hardly a seasoned alchemist in her mind. She went to Karl to learn more about various herbs and materials so she might utilize that knowledge for her experiments with potions. It hasn't been long, but now she finds herself being left with the sick and the dying. She wasn't comfortable with death. It reminded her of home. So she's escaped to the forge as often as she could while Karl was away. She stepped away from the anvil, placing the sword to the side to put the finishing touches on tomorrow. It made a loud thunk as its weight hit the table. The blacksmith Rugar, who owned this forge, turned his attention away from his own task and toward her. She looked up at him while taking off her apron and wiping her brow with a cloth. "Thanks for letting me help. I can't stand going too long without working with steel, but I think I need to go back for the day. Make sure no one's died yet."
Free labor. I'll take that any day.
Hopefully free good labor. But yes, I'm sure I'll be back tomorrow.
Rugor walks across the room, patting his belly, which pushes against his own thick leather apron, looking down at the blade, inspecting it from a distance. Well, suppose we'll find out soon enough just how good the blade is and just how handy your craftsmanship is. It's better than this sodden fool. He pushes his apprentice on the shoulder. If you ever find that healing is not up your alley, well, I could use someone here full time. Maybe this one can just simply make pots or something.
I appreciate your offer, and she kind of wrings her hands, trying to wipe away some of the black that's kind of formed on it over the day. I'm not entirely sure that this is the place for me to stay, though. I have errands elsewhere that I need to take care of. But I will let you know if that changes.
Well, sounds good. I guess I'll see you tomorrow then, lass.
Good day, Rugar. Good day. And she turns and nods towards the apprentice as well. That's kind of been getting a hard time.
Cuts eyes at Selna with a look of jealousy as he's berated by Rugor as she's taking her leave. And let me switch the scene. I know. As Selna pushes open the doors of the blacksmith shop, a small shop here in a small place, but men needed steel forged for many reasons. Although blades were uncommon, such things as gaffs and steel rods for boats and other such apparatuses were more common. Not exciting, certainly. But as the wet dampness of the fog that rolls across the harbor and the crashing waves, Selna feels the dampness on her forehead mixed with the sweat from the heat of the forge. Looking out into the gray skies and hearing the squawks of birds fighting over some scrap of food. She almost misses a familiar yet not overly familiar face standing nearby of Marie. Go ahead, Marie.
Marie is a young woman, not overly young. She's seen some years, but still considers herself to be young, and she is dressed cheerfully, and she's approaches Selna with a friendly wave. Hello, my dear. Oh, looks like you've been working up a sweat today.
Yes, she stops and turns towards you as you approach, kind of returning your wave with a small one of her own. Mary, is it? Marie?
Marie. Yes, I hear the doctor's out of town. Left you with his workload.
He has, yes. Not something that I'm entirely comfortable with. You can see her body language is a bit like closed and uncomfortable while she's talking about it. I just hope that nothing happens while he's away.
Oh, I'm sure you've got it well in hand. He speaks so very highly of you. He really does. Seems to be all he can speak of lately. His talented young apprentice.
I don't know about that. Thank you for your words, though.
Oh, I know that he doesn't always express these things, but I can tell he's quite fond of you and quite admiring. But he wouldn't have left you in charge of his patients if that were not the case. But I came here for a reason. You see, I suspected that you might need a break from all this tedium and the stress of caring for. And I have a suggestion for something that might prove a distraction, a pleasant surprise for the good doctor when he returns.
Oh? She perks up a little bit, looking at you quizzically. Her body language opening up a little more as she allows her arms to kind of droop down to her side. And what's that?
Well, he spoke to me the other day, when you weren't about, that he was quite excited that you had mentioned that you knew of a particular tree, a rare kind of tree, somewhere off the coast of Mermaid Point, and he was hoping to collect some leaves from it at some point, but he's always so busy he can't get around to it. And I thought we might take a small excursion and collect some of these leaves ourselves.
A tree. She starts looking towards the ground, her eyes darting back and forth as she's trying to rack her brain. as she tries to recall any information that she may have heard Carl speaking about, like some strange tree. But
Go ahead and give me a, let's see, intelligence education. So there is a rumor, and it is widely known that there is a rumor of a special tree on the coast of Mermaid Point. And Carl has spoken of this tree before. He isn't exactly sure where it is, but there is a rumor that it sits in this cave on this small island. And he is not a superstitious man himself, but there are others that are. They claim that mermaids prowl these waters and will pull men, particularly, into the depths and forcibly take them and produce offspring, only after the men float to shore dead. You and Carl are not from these parts, and I don't know if she would share that superstition, but it is one reason why many people do not go to this small island. And that is what Selna would know. She has seen drawings of the actual leaves, which are supposed to have incredible healing and medicinal purposes.
does the tree have a name, like a kind of tree that I'm aware of, or no?
You have heard it called the mermaid's tree. It's a colloquial sort of name that has been given. As far as a more scientific name, you have not really heard anything of that nature.
The mermaid's tree, is that what he talked to you about?
Yes, yes. He said what he wouldn't do to have some tears from the mermaid's tree. The leaves, I suppose. But, I don't think he's a superstitious man himself, but still, I think that'd be quite the adventure to relate to him, how we two women braved Mermaid's Point and those, and air quotes, mermaids, and brought back some of these rare leaves, which I'm sure could do a lot of good in this town. To be honest, I've already made some arrangements. I meant it for a bit of a surprise, and of course I can go by myself if you're not up to it. But, I'm quite familiar with some of the sailor lads, and some of them have agreed to ferry us out there today.
Today?
Yes, today.
But, and she kind of looks behind her in the direction of where her and Carl are keeping the patients. I really must make sure that the patients are okay. Is there any time?
Oh, well, those lads, they're quite fond of me. They'll keep. Here, come on, I'll help you with your chores over there. I've given Carl a hand or two before you came around here and usurped my position as helper.
I'm sorry for that.
Oh, just a joke, just a joke. He's so grateful to have you here. Your hands are much more skilled than mine, at least in terms of healing the sick. She gives you a little wink.
Yeah, you still have a use there, I'm sure. Have you known Carl long? I don't think we've ever exactly talked about how you two have known each other.
Oh, well, he can be quite private. Yes, we've known each other for quite a long time. We've got quite a bit of history. I would say he's my best friend, and I'm his. Used to be there's very little that he wouldn't tell me, but he's been quite busy these days, and I haven't seen as much of him as I'd like. But here, let's head over. I'll roll up my sleeves and give you a hand.
Thank you. And she's gonna kind of turn around and look back and just make sure you're following, and then slowly walk forward with you back towards where these patients are kept.
Along the way, Marie'll ask you questions and keep up the cheerful patter of just meaningless, friendly gossip.
Yeah, you guys return to... There's one small tent that Carl has set up. Otherwise, he goes from home to home. But those people are not overly sick. Mild cases of various maladies. There's one man in particular named Undrin. And Undrin was cut badly in a bar fight. He has a tight bandage across his stomach where he was eviscerated, and Carl was able to return his innards into his stomach and stitch him up. The main concern with Undrin is that he would die of some sort of infection. And to Selna, he looks slightly pale, paler than when she had last seen him. He lies with a wet brow himself, sweating, although the air out here is cool but damp. His eyes are closed. His breathing is labored.
As we walk in and I see this, I'm gonna quickly rush to his side and do what I can to check his vital, check just anything, and try to think of a way to help him or heal him, or any sort of herbs that I can use to ease his pain.
You quickly look over the man, pulling back his robes to expose the wound and the bandages. You notice that through the bandages is a brownish discharge.
Shit.
Oh dear.
Undrin, can you hear me?
He only responds with moans.
Shit. You're going to be okay. She turns around looking at the shelves and the desks behind her, trying to remember the names and the purposes for all of these medicines and herbs that Carl left for her, trying to find something to hopefully help with an infection, particularly like a salve, or something that she can put over it and kind of clean the injury and rewrap the wound.
So remember, luck is a thing. So you can add your luck to your roll. You have a certain amount of luck. Let me see what that is. You have 5. So you can spend 5 per session. They all come back the next session. And that is... it just adds to your roll. So if you spent all 5, it would add 5. If you spent 1, it would add 1. With that in mind, go ahead and give me a first aid roll.
Okay. What is that under wisdom?
That is under craft.
Craft. Okay. I'm gonna check really quick and see just what my first aid skill is. Perhaps to get an idea. Yep, it's 3. Not bad.
Just to give you a kind of a gist, a average difficulty is 14.
Oof. Okay.
And if you meet, you fail. You must beat.
And I'm rolling a d10, right?
You are rolling a d10, but you will add your craft roll, your craft skill, or attribute, sorry. So the roll is d10 plus your craft plus your first aid.
Okay.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I'm just gonna spend 1 luck.
Okay. $18. You turn and look over the various poultices and elixirs and salves. You remember another man who was actually bitten by a wild animal, and that Carl had taken this clay pot with a green salve and applied it when the wound appeared infected.
Okay. She searches the shelves for that green salve, and finds it pretty quickly, grabbing the jar and setting it on the bedside table, opening it so that it's ready. She nods to Marie. Can you help me lift him? I need to get these bandages off.
Of course. And she'll rush over and lift him up.
Okay. She'll start working to get the bandages off. And as she does, I'm sure it's just a mess of, like, dark blood and a
Pus.
and kind of a gross wound. She gags a little as she sees it, but tries to force it back and stay calm. She throws the old bandages away, grabbing the salve and hopefully using something to apply it other than just her hand, but she's going to do what she can for him and put the salve over the wound while cleaning the wound as best as she can along the way. Once she's satisfied, she's going to grab some fresh bandages and start rewrapping him.
This process perhaps takes 15 minutes, with Marie assisting you in various aspects of just grabbing things for you and that sort of thing. And you're able to apply the salve, washing away the disgusting pus and blood, dried blood from the wound, and reapplying this over top of it. You are fairly sure this is what Carl would do. As far as the man's fate, well, only time would tell, but he seems to be more comfortable at the very least. After another half an hour, he stops sweating and simply lays there, silent but breathing.
My dear, I know I suggested this outing as a lark, but this man, despite your very skilled care, he still seems to be rather touch and go. If we could get some of those leaves, do you think it would make a difference?
Perhaps. I'm not entirely sure of what they'd be capable of medicinally until I was able to experiment with them a little.
From what Carl described, he seemed to consider them some sort of almost cure-all miracle. But, I'm no expert. I just hate to leave things entirely in the hands of fate. She brushes back some hair from the forehead of the ill man.
She looks down at him, stumbling on her words. You're right. I can't just leave him to die without doing everything that I can. How long do you think we'll be gone?
Well, the island's not far. It just depends on how quickly you can be ready. If you hurry, we could be off and back, I think, before the day's over.
She looks down at the patient again, and looks around at the rest of the room, making sure that nothing else is and everything else is in order. She pauses for a moment, takes a deep breath, and nods a couple times. Okay. Yes, let me grab some things. And she rushes to her pack and packs away just a few essentials, a few potions, if you'll allow me to say that I have some of those.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And just a few other things, and it doesn't take her long. She doesn't have too much kind of living on the road until very recently. She always tends to pack a bit light. But once she has everything together and her pack slung on her back, to the boats then. Do you need to get anything?
Oh, no. I have everything I need already on the boat. I packed us a bit of a lunch. I think it's not important now. Let's hurry.
That is very kind of you. Yes, let's. Before they go, she kind of goes to the foot of Undren's bed. I don't know if you can hear me, but we're going to be back soon, and we're going to have something that will make you feel much better. So just get rest, and everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. She kind of repeats it to herself under her breath as if to reassure herself. And she turns and walks out the door, following behind Marie.
As you both exit and walk across the wharf to a small pier with a small boat, you see two boatmen standing on the side of the gangplank to where this boat is docked. He looks down.
Aye, you both ready, Marie? It's been an awful long time. Thought you told me we'd be leaving an hour ago.
I'm sorry. I had a bit of a delay, but we're all ready now. Ready to shove off. Come on, Selna.
Thank you for taking us to this island. Please, what are your names?
Oh, my name is Bogald. Bogald of Clan Bogald. Heh! Not much of a no one. And that's Oleg. Oleg of Clan Bollock. My younger brother and a damn fool. He's a mute. Heh! If you got secrets, you tell him.
Very well. Thank you for the advice. And again, thank you for your time. And she will step onto the...
Marie leans over and whispers, "They seem rough sorts, but I've known them a long time. You have nothing to worry about." And she gives her a hand up onto the boat.
Selna, why don't you give me an awareness roll that's out of intelligence? Yep, you just walk onto the ship and
Yep, watch your step there, laddie. Lassie. Are you ready then, Marie?
Oh, definitely. Let's push off.
yeah,
I like the pushing part, eh? And
I'll let you do.
Gives her a big, toothless smile.
Selna will try to find some place to sit or some place to try to keep out of the way since she is not familiar with boats or boating at all, and will just set her pack in her lap and just hold it closely.
You head onto the boat and the two sailors begin to do various things to get the boat underway. Pull the lines that were attached to the actual dock. And it's this depiction, the boat's a little bigger than what it actually is. They begin oaring out and then raise the sail when they're a little further out. Small sailboat. And they give you a wide berth as they're doing what they have to do as you wait for them to get closer to the destination.
We'll be there in a while. Perhaps an hour. Tides be good. Praise the gods.
Ah, that's good. Lads are doing a fine job. So, Selna, tell me, what does this leaf look like? And she'll just question her about what she's heard and seen in book.
Probably don't know much, and I'll just sit back. I've only really heard rumors, and she'll kind of wrap her arms tighter around her bag. Just that it's a tree that grows in a cave off the coast of Mermaid's Point. No one really knows where it is or even if it's actually real, and I'm not entirely sure that it's a cure-all like you were hoping earlier, but I am hopeful that it's something that can be used if we can find it.
I'm sure Carl wouldn't have mentioned it if there wasn't some substance to the rumors.
Did Carl tell you that it was on this island, or he thought it was on this island, or what brought you to that conclusion?
Well, I'd heard some rumors on my own, and Carl mentioned it. I thought he said that you knew about it, but I might have misunderstood.
Afraid I'm no expert.
Well, that's unfortunate, but we'll make do. Always have, always will.
Yes. Thank you for bringing me along. I know I slowed your journey down a little, but I'm very thankful for being able to take part in this.
Of course. Just imagine Carl's face when he returns.
I think I'm just hopeful to see Undren and some of the other faces once they're well.
Aren't you sweet? Feel that wind on your face.
One of the sailors, Brogan.
Oh, there we go, Marie. You see it in the distance? That hellhole? I ain't being pulled down and dragged down by any fish lady. I was standing in here in the boat.
Do you believe in mermaids? Have you seen one?
No man seen a mermaid has made it alive there, laddie.
I don't think it's undersea ladies that are the real danger.
What's the danger then?
The ladies you know.
Duh. Well, you want to come out here? The price is what I said.
Mm-hmm. And you'll have your payment.
Yeah. Oglin, he ain't afraid of no mermaids. He killed lots of men back in Skellige. Says he's strong. Says he can take it all in. I stay here with the boat.
That suits me.
Very well.
The boat cuts closer to this island and begins to sit down closer, turning. He's navigating, trying to find a good place to throw anchor. And finally he finds a shallow part of the coastline. And Orugan tosses out an anchor. It jolts against the deck of the ship. And Brugan says, "Well, there you go, lasses. You make your way. Ogden go with you and we'll protect you." He gives a big smile.
I appreciate that. Come, Oleg, let's to the island and find this mysterious tree. Don't worry, I won't let any mermaids drag you down.
He frowns, and as he had said earlier, the man is supposedly a mute, so he doesn't respond.
Let's be going then. How big is this island?
Oh, it's not very big. You can... It does have like a large mountainous formation in the middle, but otherwise it is... you can almost see across it.
Okay. I think Selna is definitely a little nervous at all of this. And a bit unsure of where to start, but she throws her bag back around onto her back and kind of holds herself nervously, but looks towards Marie and towards Ulrig. Shall we go?
Let's. Marie picks up a basket and heads down the ramp. Time for an adventure.
I don't think I've ever been quite good at those, but hopefully this will go well.
Alright, give me 2 seconds here. You're able to press off onto the island. You are standing in knee-deep water, but are able to wade to shore. The shore is rocky, but the waters are currently calm. The man behind you simply nods and moves forward. He has a gaff hanging off a rope belt and a torch in his hand, looking to Marie specifically for instructions. And you see that there is There's a large thicket of trees in the middle of the island, right in front of this larger, almost mountainous area. And it seems to form into a strange shape. It catches your eye almost immediately.
Marie points at that. That looks like a likely place to start, don't you think?
I think perhaps, yes. We need to be watching for caves if the rumors are anything to be believed, however.
All right then. You keep your eyes peeled and I'll keep mine. Oleg, give a shout at... Oh, never mind. No.
Looks at you completely blank stared. You do begin to walk into the island a bit. What happened? That's not the right music, so. Oh, this is very strange. Oh, I know what's wrong. Sorry.
I don't know that I'll ever forgive you.
You walk through this foliage. Most of the island is still actually underwater, you find. There are small spots of ponds and wet grass. And you come to this part where the trees are thick and wrap around each other. And there is a small stream, you can tell, going in from this area, which appears to be some sort of natural opening, but almost strangely symmetric on each side.
This seems promising, she says as she looks around at it and tries to peer further into the passage.
It certainly looks like a cave. I can't imagine that there'd be a tree growing inside of it, but only one way to find out.
She turns towards Ulrich. Have you ever been to this place before? I know you can't speak, but just shake your head.
He looks at you and shakes his head.
She looks towards Murray. Well, let's continue on then. Ulrich, would you mind leading the way? Just in case something's in there and we need our bodyguard.
He simply grunts and walks forward before the two of you, his feet splashing. You walk through this opening and he begins to work on lighting the torch, striking with flint and steel for several minutes before you go inside. But you notice as you move down this large, wide path that there is some sort of light source from within. But as you also go forward, the floor is no longer solid under your feet, as the water rises from some other source somewhere else, and you're quickly to water up to your knees.
Oh, I hope it doesn't get much deeper.
This is strange, isn't it?
It is. But I suppose if there were a tree growing in a cave, it would need to get water from somewhere.
I suppose that's true. Selna's gonna kind of dip a finger into the water and taste it. Is it fresh water or is it salt water?
It is, it's fresh water. You think, actually, it's more like a brackish type, so it's, it's not completely salt water, but it's not, you can tell that it has some of those properties in it. It's not like drinking straight salt water, though.
Yeah. I don't think this is coming from the ocean.
That's hopeful then. Let's keep on.
She's gonna move slowly, cautiously, and nervously, looking around, following Olgan, trying to stay in the light, and trying to look ahead in search of any tree that seems to stand out.
You head towards this light. It's a slow, winding path, and the waters rise. Soon it's at your waist, and you're having a hard time wading through it. It's taking a lot of your strength and time. Although the light is bright and this darkness that surrounds you in the distance, night is approaching, and it won't be bright for long. Eventually, after an unknown time of walking, certainly perhaps an hour, the water doesn't rise much further past Ogren's waist, but your own, being shorter than this man, is more almost to your chest. But finally, your path leads you out into a wide opening, a cavern with a light shining down on a small tree with luscious green leaves and water all around it.
Ah, that must be it.
Yeah, I can't believe we found it so easily.
Well, superstitious men will sometimes avoid a place for the silliest reasons, and it's only to our benefit. Let's gather as many leaves as we can.
Yes, let's. And she starts wading through the water, trying to still be careful, but at the same time hurrying towards this small island with the tree to try to get out of the water. Yeah, she's just moving forward alongside Marie and I imagine Ulrich as well.
Oregon stands back and just lets you guys walk forward. He finds a small rock and stays behind you, waving the torch about and giving you some more light based on the growing darkness from outside.
We won't be long. We really should be quick. It's getting dark.
It is, yeah. Let's hurry and try to get back. I don't want to leave Undren too long without supervision, now that I know his condition is worsening. Do we make it to the tree just fine?
Yeah, you're able to use the rocks that almost seem to form a natural bridge, at least partially, using them to get to the tree.
All right. She examines the tree, looking at its bark and looking at kind of all properties that it might have that I feel might be useful or valuable, and looks at the leaves and looks at their brightness in comparison to everything else and how much it just stands out. And she starts collecting what she can as quick as she can, putting it in her bag and helping fill Marie's basket as well.
Marie and Sona, please give me an awareness roll.
Yep.
Marie does not have sight. So
Oh, crap. NPC tokens, I forget to give them sight when somebody takes them over. My bad.
No problem.
Have you not had sight this whole entire time?
I've had the vision in my mind.
Oh my god. You told me.
No.
Okay, so what are we rolling?
Awareness.
Okay.
That's intelligence?
Intelligence. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Look at you. I'm gonna spend a luck again.
Okay. Marie and Sona, you look as you're beginning to pluck the leaves, and there you see what you think is movement in the water.
Did you see that?
I think I did. Oleg? I think there's something in the water.
As Marie says this, Sona, you realize that this man is standing right next to you already. You hadn't seen him, but you had seen what's in the water. He reaches out and grabs you by the shoulder and looks at Marie expectantly.
Yes, I suppose now's as good a time as any. And she reaches into the basket and she pulls out some rope.
What's going on? She looks around, panicked, fumbling for anything, but probably not finding much that she can use to get a hold of herself in the arms of such a large man.
You can try to roll a punch. Technically it'd be like a grapple.
Don't think that's gonna go very... What is that, body?
It is actually, you should have a token macro for punch. It should be pound punch.
And it's attack, right?
Yep. And you do some pretty quick through those, it's all. Oh, you fumbled too. Go ahead and there should be a pound crit plus fumble. Go ahead and roll that. Alright, so a 4 versus a 9. So he grabs you by the shoulder and yanks you towards Marie and kind of turns you as he his hand goes to the nape of your neck and points it to Marie.
Marie, what's happening? Let me go!
Now, if you don't want this to go rougher, then you'll put your hands behind your back, like a good girl.
What's happening?
You're such a sweet thing, and that's the problem. You see, ever since you came into Carl's life, he really hasn't had time for old Marie anymore. It's just Selma this. She's so smart. She's so promising. He sees such a spark in her. And I just can't allow it to continue. I know that maybe you don't see it yourself, but you know that you've got your sights fixed on him. And
I don't. I swear I don't.
hmm,
I can leave. I can just go. I can leave town. No one has to know. I can just go home.
I'm afraid that Carl would ask pressing questions, and I don't think you have it in you to be a convincing liar. Now put your hands behind your back.
I don't have to see him again. I'll just leave.
Do you need our friend here to get rough with you?
He squeezes the back of your neck hard,
Ah!
digging his fingers into the corners of your jaw where they meet right beneath the ear.
Marie, please. I'm no threat to you.
Now!
She slowly puts her hands behind her back. Would there be any way, if you want me to go like along with this or whatever?
No, I want you to
let me
do.
know.
I want you to do what you're gonna do.
So I haven't specifically described her as having such, but I have a long sword, and then I also have those potions that I grabbed. Would there be any way to try to grab like my sword or a potion to like smash in Ulrich's face or something?
I would be okay with the potion. I think the longsword might be a little.
Yeah, I figured that'll be
stretch.
really hard.
Yeah, but the potion, I'm good with that. If you want to give me like a give me another punch roll.
Just kind of click through everything again.
Yeah, you can do that. And if you want to use a luck point, then just do your.
It's under additional mods, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna spend 2 luck points.
Okay. You fumbled again.
Motherfucker!
Go ahead and roll me that. It's okay, whatever. So you turn and try to take this. Oh my god, 1. So you tried to bash this guy with the potion, and it just slips out of your wet hands and kerplunk in the water, and he smiles, reaches back, and slaps you across the face with the back of his hand. As he does this, you tumble backwards onto your butt, and all of a sudden, Oregon, a green hand snakes up his leg and suddenly rips him beneath the water, and there's a tremendous amount of like movement in the water as this happens, but he is suddenly gone, leaving the 2 women standing by the tree. Or one sitting, I should say.
What was that? Selna's immediately gonna try to stand up, trying to face Marie, but also not having her back to the water. And at this point, she's gonna draw her sword while she has a chance.
Oh, Marie's already on the way to push her into the water.
Ooh.
Why don't you
Okay.
guys
I mean, I think Marie would definitely have the first action if that's
Yeah,
okay
go-
for me to say.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. Go ahead and give me a brawl for Marie. Or a punch, whatever. And go ahead and give me a dodge for Selna.
know how good I am at this stuff. Getting... Oh shit, she rolled good. Look,
You rolled a 10.
that's good,
she,
isn't it?
She didn't roll a 10,
Yeah.
she got a 10. She rolled a 4, I think.
I'm gonna use my last luck point for
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
Ooh.
She goes to push you in the water, and you're able to scramble out of the way as she's coming over. The footing's rocky, and she almost falls herself.
Ah!
I would like you to both give me an awareness roll. You guys notice that the water is rapidly rising. It's almost to the base of the tree right now, and you're both... Selna's actually, she's seated, is probably chest deep in water quite suddenly as this is going up and up, and Marie herself is knee deep.
Fuck, what's happening?
Is this really that important, Marie?
I suppose in the moment. She starts to climb up the tree.
Selna's gonna try to hurry up after her, not falling too behind, so that hopefully Marie doesn't try to kick her down or anything.
You try to climb up this tree, and the water begins to rise. And as you're holding onto the tree, you see something in the water.
That's not terrifying.
What is that?
Just climb! Climb!
These hands reach out for your ankles as the water rises. And the tree, although you're in its branches, the water continues to rise. The hands, you notice, between the fingers are webbed and clutching, with sharp nails almost like talons.
No, it wasn't supposed to go like this.
I try to slash at one with the longsword if I can.
You tried to slash with your longsword, but the tree is impeding your swing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You feel yourself drug under the water, both of you gasping for air. Gasping as you look up at the water that appears to be continuing to rise, and this form racing around you, pulling you under, pulling you lower and lower, until you see blackness and only are vaguely conscious. Selna, sometime later, your eyes open rapidly, suddenly, and you're next to a boat. Not the same boat that had brought you here. You see a man on that boat looking down at you, yelling something at you, but are not sure what he's saying. You can't quite make it out. And you look down. You're hanging on a log of some sort. You see something beneath you. It looks up and it smiles. But your memory of what had happened is faded, is confused. And I'll let you go ahead and roleplay your reaction, and that will be it.
I wake up coughing. I imagine spitting up quite a bit of water. I look around, incredibly confused. So I'm in the water on a log,
Yes.
and the ship is kind of next to it,
Yep.
and there's a mermaid underneath me that smiled at me.
Yep.
Is the mermaid still there?
It's going deeper and deeper. This is the man you see on the ship.
I watch as it swims deeper and deeper, and I look around, scanning the horizon, panicked, but not seeing Marie, not seeing Ulrig, not seeing Bulgard. I look up at this new person and try to focus on what he's saying, try to understand what he's saying as I take stock of this new situation I'm in. Panicked, afraid, confused, but determined to get back to Mermaid Point and get back to Carl and get back to her studies and far away from this place.
And as you look up, and he calls out, as your ears begin to respond and understand, and the whereabouts of Marie and the two sailors are unknown, the screen fades to black, and that is it.